In today's assembly, we'll address the local crisis of food insecurity. What is food insecurity? This is a measure of the availability of food and individuals' ability to access it. Currently, Kenya is facing one of the largest food crises, where an estimated of 3.1 million people in arid and semi-arid lands of Kenya are severely food insecure. The drought isn't limited to just one country, but to other countries like Somalia, Ethiopia, and South Sudan, where over 6 million people face or are already facing acute malnutrition. In this assembly, we'll go through the current causes of food insecurity in Kenya, the effects of food insecurity on the environment and on Kenyans, and how we can help, as well as what is being done to help. I'd like to invite James to talk about the current causes of food insecurity in Kenya.
So in today's assembly, I'll be talking about the current causes of Kenya's food insecurity. The food crisis is caused by various factors such as climate change, urban development, population growth, and oil price shifts. There isn't one singular factor causing food insecurity, but I will speak on the important ones. These factors include the rapid population growth in Kenya. Increased number of people means more pressure on the environment as demand for food, land, clean water, and energy resources escalate. With reduced resources, there is a real danger of civil strife arising as people fight for scarce resources. Rapid urbanization. Rapid urbanization is changing the face of poverty and food insecurity in Kenya. Nairobi's population is set to nearly double to almost 6 million by 2025, and 60% of residents live in slums with no or limited access to even the most basic services such as clean water, sanitation, housing, and healthcare. Most of these poor households derive a large proportion of their income from labor and have few alternative sources of income, which could lead to more households buying cheap food with inadequate nutrients and skipping meals. Underinvestment in rural infrastructure. Rural roads in some high potential areas are missing or not well developed, making it difficult for farmers to access markets and move their products from the centers of production to centers of consumption in urban areas. The inability of some regions in the country to access food may be due to poor or lack of development of food distribution systems between the surplus and the deficit areas. Climate change. In Kenya, we have witnessed prolonged droughts in many parts of the country and floods in some parts of Kenya. Today, the most prevalent cause of starvation is the current drought in northern Kenya, with 4 seasons of failed rain. This has left the land barren and lacking of nutrition, which has been detrimental to the holistic Kenyan society. I would now like to invite Aiden, who will be speaking on the effects of food insecurity in Kenya.
Food insecurity can have multiple negative effects. Some of the most common and most threatening of these is famine. Famine is defined as an extreme scarcity of food. This is almost always the probable outcome when food insecurity is prominent in an area and can result in extreme malnutrition of the population. This does not only affect us as people, but scarcity of food will lead to loss of biodiversity in the area, as several natural ecosystems will be affected by this lack of nutrition. Agricultural industries that depend on living animals will also suffer a huge loss, as with no food to feed their animals will either become malnourished to a fatal point, or the yield of the farm will be too low to obtain a profit from. As well as this, food insecurity can severely damage the economy of a country. Scarcity of food in an area can lead to rapid inflation in the prices of agricultural and food-related products. Inflation can be defined as the general increase in prices of goods and services in an economy. This can be detrimental, especially in developing countries, as the demand for food is guaranteed to increase as the country develops. If the agricultural industry is not able to meet this demand, then it will result in retailers increasing the price of food. This in turn denies those who are not as financially stable the ability to purchase food, which again will lead to extreme malnutrition in the population. Finally, food insecurity can result in political unrest in a country. Inevitably, some people will blame the government for a lack of food security in a country. If this is left unattended for too long, it can escalate into events such as riots and other means of indecent demonstration. This can cause unnecessary loss of life that is not even related to a lack of food in the first place. As well as this, I would like to talk to you guys about having an attitude of gratitude. Having an attitude of gratitude is being able to be grateful for the little things in life that we take for granted. As Brooke House students, we have to realize that we are extremely privileged to be in the position we are in. Every day, we take for granted things such as being driven to school and other things. But how often do we, as the privileged, stop to ponder how lucky we are? The reality of the situation is that most kids our age are extremely underprivileged and lack most of the facilities that we deem necessities. It is because of this that inspiring movements such as the Activate Green movement have made it their priority to give back to the community by planting over 40 indigenous trees in the Incontilla school during the previous year 12 service learning trip. This is an exceptional example of students not only showing attitude of gratitude, but exercising the round square ideals of leadership, environmentalism, and most importantly, service. I would now like to invite Amy to make her contributions.
What's being done to reduce food insecurity? Faced with the food insecurity, the majority of the world have run to East Africa's rescue in various large-scale attempts to help mellow the effects, especially those caused by the drought. Four examples of ways that this food crisis is being dealt with is 1. Offering relief supplies. 1,500 households in the drought-stricken parts of Kwale have received food supplies from the country government. To combat the region's hunger, the county government have scaled up the distribution of relief food to support the drought-stricken population. Government's large sums of donation. With the worst drought to hit East Africa region in 40 years, the government of Kenya allocated 2 billion Kenya shillings at the beginning of this November for food relief to more than 4 million people affected by the severe drought in many parts of the country. United Nations participation. An estimated 13,400 women are currently pregnant or breastfeeding in drought-affected regions of Kenya. Many are now malnourished and anemic, with conditions that can be life-threatening. To help protect women and girls due to the drought, the United Nations have distributed maternal health and dignity kits across Kenya, cash handouts. Some aid organizations, like the Red Cross, have started to bypass the government by transferring cash directly to the cell phones of people in need of help. I would now like to hand over to James to talk about what's being done by Brooke House.
So the Kitengela school play, the Kitengela service learning. Yeah? One of the prevalent efforts made by Brooke House every year is a residential service project done by the year 12s. This year, these students will be going to Kitengela as we did last year. With the land counting as one of the affected areas with this severe drought causing life-threatening food insecurity, one simple and hopefully enjoyable way you can help Olengotila and other service learning projects is by attending the senior school production of the Sister Act. As a school, we should support young talents and put in a little extra effort to knowing that you won't just be enjoying a wondrous cinematic experience, but also helping the students, staff, and families in Kitengela. I would now like to introduce Helen.
Our assembly has come to an end. It is our hope that you will reflect on this presentation and have learned more about what is going on in our country today.